All right, we are green. Brothers and sisters, I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, and how we're going to fix both of those things together. As you guys get in here, make sure you leave some chat comments over there. We had some issues on our last live. I want to make sure you guys got this message coming out hot and live, 5x5. And guys, what I'm about to show you is how this national reciprocity bill, what we just found, is going to destroy blue state gun control through their licensing regimes forever. I'm not exaggerating. This is a first step setting up to a second step, which if you're in a blue state and you know somebody in a blue state, you are going to want to send this to them because this is the next steps towards freedom. Now, of course, everything is linked in the description box. I always bring the receipts, and make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on if you are down for this fight to freedom. We've gone all the way from holding the line, all the way to electing Trump, the Republicans in the House and the Senate, and now we are using that majority to push our rights forward. So please, if you're down with that mission, make sure you do that. All right. Looks like we got audio, we got video. This is incredible. All right. Listen, guys, this is a really big deal, and I have not heard anyone talking about this yet. H.R. 38 is the bill we talked about a lot yesterday. This is the National Reciprocity Bill. I'm going to do a brief highlight unless you're not familiar, or excuse me, in case you're not familiar, and then I'm going to get into what I want to really hit on, because a lot of the people in my comments yesterday said this does nothing for blue states. Wrong. Really, really, really wrong. And I want to show you what it does, because this is literally a godsend if you're in a blue state. All right. So very high level. H.R. 38, if you guys are just now coming in here, H.R. 38 is the National Reciprocity Bill. It creates a state-by-state system where you have to honor state A to state B. And if you have constitutional carry in, say, I don't know, Georgia or Florida, and the 29 other states, it's therefore honored in the blue states like California, Illinois, Washington, or New York. Very important deal. It also opens up federal land by name, BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, which is like 50% of the country by land mass, forestry, and all parks. Real big deal. It allows for individuals like myself and you who are going through our lives with our Second Amendment rights. We get arrested or detained, we can therefore sue the DA, we can sue the prosecutor, we can sue the state. That's brand new. There's so many things that this thing does. It also gets written in front of any and all mag bans and mag limits. Really big stuff. But that's where we covered yesterday. And watch those videos yesterday if you want to see in depth, because I read through this entire bill. However, this is the really, really good point. And someone just said, Paul said, actually, I do believe it's a good start, but it's not perfect. 100% agree it's not perfect. We are in alignment on that. However, they took our rights incrementally over 100 years. Since 1934 in the NFA, we have to take them back incrementally the exact same way. Won't take 100 years because everything is expedited, but we have to do it the exact same way. It's not going to be a fell swoop. This is a massive step-by-step. And the next step it leads to is this point. So this is the key you have to understand if you're in a blue state. In step one, what this does to a blue state, it makes you seem like you really got no wins because you're in a California, for example. So the way that it's written, whatever state has the most freedom can now be applied into a blue state without freedom. So, for example, let's just say Louisiana. Let's just pick a random one. Alabama, whatever. You got constitutional carry, which that's the utmost that we have right now for carrying in the United States. So in the constitutional carry application, we go to California. Well, now we can carry our firearms constitutionally. We don't need the permitting. We don't have to jump through any of the hoops that they do. However, in the opposite, California still has all the hoops, loops, and jumps. I hit a short on this earlier. They still have the hoops, loops, and jumps, while Alabama and 28 other states don't have those hoops, loops, and jumps. That's in step one. And this is where it's so crucial to understand. People like Illinois, people like California, New York, Washington, all the blue bastion states. When you have a scenario where you're creating two different classes of people, because in California, you have one class that has all the regulations and all the requirements and all the BS you have to go through, and then Alabama, who doesn't have those same regulations, and now they're in the exact same place. California in this case. You now have two different classes of people. Do you know which organization really hates two classes of people? SCOTUS, the judicial system. You know which other group of people really hates two classes because they make a whole lot of money in the litigation? Lawyers. So if you're in a blue state, this thing passes, which is in your best interest to pass. you now have grounds to say, wait a minute, this is unfair. Why do they have these privileges and I have these privileges, but there's a discrepancy in what we have to do, whether it's financial, whether it's fingerprinting, whether it's training requirements, mandated time and a range, all these things, licensure, renewals, but they don't have it, but they're in the same state. Guys, this sets up the death knell to all the gun control licensing regimes that are in blue states. You have to understand, this is a massive first step, and I'm going to jump to the comments here in a second. Now, I gotta say something really quickly. It's something, just a comment that just came through. This passing is probably a pipe dream, and this is another piece to this. You guys, respectfully and honestly, from a full point of respect, we're on the same side. We've been grinding together for 4 years. We've been holding the line against gun control in the Biden administration and the executive bureaucratic overreaches through all the lawsuits, the SCOTUS, fighting the ATF, fighting the administration, making up whole new Office of Gun Violence Prevention, making up National Red Flag Law Centers, the DOJ, all these things. We've been holding the line, and I'm proud of each and every one of you guys for doing it. We hold the line. Trump wins, pulls a rabbit out of a hat, and it's not really a rabbit to me. You guys did it. Then you've got the Republicans in the House and the Republicans in the Senate. They all want national reciprocity. They've signed on as co-sponsors. They've said they're going to do it from a Trump perspective. And you've got 54 seats in the Senate. The number that you have to get over the filibuster in the Senate is 60 votes. 60. So you need to pick off 6 red state Democrats on something that already exists. Are they going to go down the road of the filibuster? Like, there's so many different pieces to this. But the biggest thing that I want to highlight on that, it's impossible until you do it. Just like it was impossible that they were going to let Trump win again. Just like it was impossible that we weren't going to stop him when the AR bans came down. We stopped him. Trump got elected. Republicans took the House. Republicans took the Senate. All of these things were impossible until we put our nose to the grindstone and it wasn't impossible anymore. All of a sudden it happened. The impossible is only something that hasn't happened yet. And that's an ethos for me. I will grind on this for myself and for my children. That's it. There is no other option. My hands will not go up in the air. Sorry, that was a bit of a tirade, but that comment kind of got me. But you have to understand, when we're talking about this, step 1 on this national reciprocity bill is amazing for about 60% of the country. Then step 2 is fantastic for 100% of the country. It's setting you up for lawsuits in blue states to undermine the gun control regimes of which you've suffered under. That's how important this is, because it creates 2 different classes of people just by the nature of the blue states themselves, which makes them an infringing entity or body in the eyes of the court. Guys, this is a really big deal. All right, let me jump into the comments really quick. Imagine the fight over the NFA repeal. It's going to come across piecemeal, and it will happen, and we are going to do it. All right. But I live in New York, and they are just insane with this. They would love to take everyone's gun away, and that is just BS. It is just BS. But think about, from a standpoint of New York, what they've experienced on a loss perspective. They are literally the entity that brought forward the Bruen decision, which wrecked gun control nationwide and is continuing to wreck more and more and more gun control at a state and a federal level. If New York did not exist, that Bruen decision would not exist. So Letitia James, Kathy Hochul, they're the ones that brought this forward. The Cargill decision, the Loper Enterprises decision, the Bruen decision. Guys, it just keeps stacking. It was all impossible until it happened. Anyway. What up, Illinois? Good stuff. My blue overlord in Washington hates the plebs. Yeah, that's the entire point. Guys, if you're just now tuning into this video, and I'm not going to make this a tremendously long video, but I'm really trying to land this plane. Let me know if I do in the comments and right over there in the chat. And guys, if you're down for this fight with us, we're grinding. So please subscribe, like, notification bells, all the things. Because this is a huge step in the right direction. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But is perfect going to be the enemy of the good? Nope, not on this channel. We can grind, get a pound of flesh, and set up a fight that will be even more damaging to them in the future in blue states if we can just organize and orchestrate this, get our representatives involved, get our senators involved, and apply pressure the same way we did when Biden was inaugurated 4 years ago, and we had to hold the line as hard as we did for 4 years. Guys, we have a tremendous opportunity here, not only in the short term, but the long term. It's amazing. Let me jump into the comments real quick. Guys hot like when guys hot like when you leave live stream. Don't know that one. So what about the states that don't have a permit to carry? Okay, so that's a very good question. Almost every, I think actually every single state has constitutional, like best case scenario constitutional carry, and then worst case scenario all the loops and hoops and jumps, because the Bruin decision made all of them shall issue, not may issue. So even the states that have constitutional carry, they still have the licensing available to go into other states, because that's the system as it exists right now. Got a super chat from Wit. What else to say? Rosters. I haven't seen anything to keep roster states from jamming up someone for carrying non-roster firearm into a roster state. I might have missed that. Okay, so that's a very, very good point. So what the HR 38 addresses in that, a couple of different things. One, they set up a litigation process to where the court is actually going to, the state will have to pay your attorney fees, basically, if they, representation fees, that's what they call it, if they arrest you or detain you for this statute. So that's one thing right there. The roster thing, different thing. But right now, if they arrest or detain you for carrying, there you go. Because how's that going to work? It says any and all magazines, any handgun. And that's the second thing that I'll bring up. Because if you look at what the existing laws are in New York, say 10 rounds is the big deal that you can't go over. Okay, well, this law right here on a federal level says on state-to-state reciprocity, you cannot limit the mags. It says any magazine made for a handgun, any. Well, that would supersede a mag limit, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Would that open up questions about a roster with mag limits and different safeties? Yes, it would, because it says handgun. Guys, they got in front of a lot of the problems on this thing before the left did it. In fact, they even preempted some of the left moves because you know they were going to do magazine bans. Eric with another super chat, and thank you guys so much when you do these. The right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, I completely agree. I'm in California, I nullify. Try leaving New Hampshire armed. Yeah, that is a big thing, Johnny Barr. There's lots of stories that come out, especially when you guys go into different gun control states in that area. Neil Watson, it destroys all magazine limits. Correct. It also mentions ammunition. It does absolutely. It says any magazine and any ammunition. In fact, let me get down to the point because this bill is only 6 pages. Look at this. Let me actually find it. Bear with me while I go down here. That's the part where you're talking about suing the court. Here we go. Right here. Let me highlight it for you guys. The term handgun includes any magazine for use in a handgun and any ammunition loaded into the handgun or its magazine. And that's a very important piece of what someone just brought up again. This sets up multiple ways for you to bring forward lawsuits against the existing blue gun control in the blue bastion states because a federal law says they cannot do what they are currently doing. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the legislation side of a Bruin decision. That is how impactful this will be. This is a really important one to get, guys, but that's a very good one. My issues crossing into Pennsylvania into New Jersey stand. Right, it's the exact same thing. Here we go, David Zarbach. This is an interesting question. If you're out of state and don't have an Illinois FOID card, you can buy ammunition. What does the bill say about that? So now the bill does not directly address FOID cards. The bill does say, let me show you this. It's very broad in the term of identification. So here you go, under section E, right here. The term identification document means a document made or issued by or under the authority of the United States government, a state, or a political subdivision of the state, which, when completed with information concerning a particular individual, is a type intended or commonly accepted for the purpose of identification of an individual. So it does not specifically say licensure to own, because FOIDs are literally, you can't own a gun unless you have an FOID or a sponsored FOID, which gives you an FID. You're talking about something that it puts your rights behind a license, and it opens it up for questions just like what the chat just said. Not 1,500 pages long. Right, this thing is 6. There's no pork. It's not any BS. And it even gets in front of the very predictable ways that the gun controllers will do it and sets up fights for the next decade, which will go towards freedom for ourselves and for our children. Guys, this is a really big deal. And I'm really trying to land the plane on how much of a ramification that this will translate out to the rest of the population and the rest of a gun rights fight, particularly in the blue states, because I want to address the discouragement that a lot of people left in my comments around the blue states and the impact. This is bigger. Because step one, yeah, it's not that great for blue states. Step two, oh, it's great. You're going to come on parity with red states. That's how this will work. All right. All right. Constitutional carry will be next. That's absolutely true. Every state needs constitutional carry. Well, honestly, if you're Dave Park, if you are in the blue states, or excuse me, if you're in a red state and you have constitutional carry, this would make every state constitutional carry. So 29 states would be constitutional carry anywhere you go. That's a big part of this. Lord Air, I'm in a stand your ground state and I go to a retreat state. Do I have to retreat? So now that's a completely different animal. That's a completely different thing. I cannot offer you specifics on that because that's like a operation. So did you stand? Did you retreat? That's a totally different question of did you have your gun legally? According to theirs, obviously you do because of the Second Amendment. But I'm saying in their state, right? That's a completely different thing. Timothy, you read my comment from yesterday, didn't you? So, Timothy, I can't speak to specifically your comment. I'm not trying to be rude, but there were a couple of people, and it could have been, I don't really remember. A couple of people did say, it was enough for me to want to make this follow-up video, did say this does nothing for me in the blue state. It does. I really want to make sure I get this point to you guys. If you guys who are the tip of the spear, who consistently are the punching bags of the gun controllers, if you get behind this, it will be utilized as a tool for you to take your fight into your own state. This is a really big one, guys. Really big one. Constitutional carry isn't a concealed carry license or permit. Every constitution still issues separate license. Correct. That's absolutely good. This doesn't go far enough. It needs to set minimum requirements for carrying arms, not just concealed carry. Again, step-by-step process. Congress doesn't like to do big, broad, sweeping things. They do not like to do that, particularly around contentious topics like the Second Amendment in their mind, right? That's important. It is step by step by step. No permit should be necessary to begin with. I completely agree. Like this is the thing. Gio, you bring up a very interesting point. I completely agree. The Constitution is your permit. You don't need a licensure to say from a state or a governing body to say, yep, you can have the rights that are in your Constitution. No, you don't need that. But the fact is, a lot of states do have that, so the way to undermine the infringements is this. It's not a matter of, I don't like the fact that there's permits, so I'm not going to support this. They put an unconstitutional order in, and we're going to undermine it step by step and set ourselves up for fights step by step by step, and we're going to take what's most dear to them, their gun control. All right, we got a super chat. Red flag laws and mental adjudications can both be weaponized or infringement. George Washington had severe to extreme PTSD and became POTUS. So red flag laws and mental adjudications can both be weaponized. You saw the left do this particularly with the expansion and funding of red flag laws in the Senate Safer Communities Act, the bipartisan one. Thanks John Cornyn and Tom Tillis, Republicans. And then you saw it also in the weaponization of the veterans. The VA who said you were mentally incompetent if you couldn't manage a checkbook. So if you're bad with your finances, you couldn't have your rights because they put you in NICS as a no pass. Yeah, they all can be weaponized. That's why we don't like them. That's why they shouldn't be there. We're only 2 years post Bruin. Yeah, that's right. And when we get this one in, which guys, this is the best chance we've had. GOA is behind it, NSSF behind it, NRA behind it, USCCA behind it. All the national groups, whether you love them or hate them, are all behind it. You got the president behind it. You got the senators doing co-sponsored bills. You got the House reps doing co-sponsored bills. You have everybody doing the support behind this. This is the push. And Trump said he would do it and he wants it. And it's coming out the very first of his term. Guys, you cannot ask for a better setup. Now it's just for us to push it over the finish line. F their gun control. Like it. Ted Nugent for ATF director. That would be really funny. We could do concerts every Friday for the ATF. I'm seeing something. Sorry, I missed someone else. CNC Designs. Congress doesn't like to do big things when it comes to giving us back some of our freedoms. I would completely agree. Completely. It's not cool, but it is a reality. That you can just observe what's going on. Very interesting question, Duckman. My only thought about H.R. 38 is that Trump picked an AG that may just throw a wrench in it. Is that possible? No. because this is Attorney General is the executive branch, and she's not even confirmed. That's executive branch way over here. That's legislative branch over here for H.R. 38. So that's going to go through Congress to the Senate to the White House. Pam Bondi, if she's confirmed, because there's already rumblings from the Democrats that they're not going to support her, which shocker of all shocks. That's a whole different thing over here on the executive branch. Okay. So now let me show you defund red flag enforcement. Completely agree. That's one of my pet projects. All right. Now we're going to talk about what the actual odds and the steps that have to happen here. I think that this is going to pass the House because Democrats are already signing on to the initiative. Democrats, Jared Golden from Maine, he's already on. He's a Democrat. Democrats are going to start to sign on to this. It's probably going to pass the House. I truly believe that it will pass the House. The sticking point is going to be in the Senate because they still have the filibuster, and that requires 60 votes to get over that filibuster for consideration for a simple majority. If there's going to be a logjam point, that's going to be the choke point that they're going to put up opposition. Republicans have 54 senators, give or take, with 2 different rhinos. So now you got about 52, pretty strong, with 2 wishy-washy. You got to pick off 4 or 6 Democratic senators. That's going to be the point. It's going to come down to politics. You give me this, you give me that. I'll do horse trading, you give me horse trading. If it gets past the Senate the exact same way that the Safer Communities Act did, it's going to be law. Pure and simple. So, what I would love to see, and I don't know if this is going to happen, and this is all speculation, so put me on record as speculation. Chris Murphy and the other Democrats are probably going to be called on the carpet by Republicans like John Cornyn, who issued and helped them on the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, to help in the other direction on this one. That's most likely the attack they're going to take. Now, what's that going to lead to? I couldn't tell you, but I guarantee you I'll follow it right here like a bloodhound. Because this is a big one, people. Let me see. But Landon, this is a really good one. When it sounds too good to be true, you start the negotiations. Like I said, that's why you have to be subscribed. You have to be notifications on, because I will let you know immediately so we can call the right people. Guys, I'm telling you, this is the way this works. But someone put a really good one in here. Just watch, they'll put a bunch of vague language and loopholes that will be manipulated by gun grabbers. Belanon, I can only show you what is right now. We are going to grind and put our nose to the grindstone as hard and push as far as we possibly can. I can tell you what's in here right now, and what's in here right now is sweet, sweet goodness. I can only tell you what's here now, and I'll address if anything changes. But where we're at right now is a hell of a good starting point. That's what I've got for you guys. I really hope I landed this plane. I hope you enjoyed the time we spent together, and I will see you on the next one. Everything is linked. Make sure you subscribe, like, notification, and I'll see you on the next one.